So guys, welcome back to another video. In this one today, we're going to be talking about the brand new Flashback David Luiz card. Now, pretty much since EA started doing these flashback items, people have been wanting to see a David Luiz flashback, and I think some people were hoping that it was going to be a CDM card, but I don't think they'll be too disappointed with this centre-back one. In the comment section down below, let me know your thoughts on this David Luiz flashback item, and also let me know which other flashback cards you want to see in this year's Ultimate Team. In this video today, I'm going to show you how I completed the SBCs to get this card. I'll show you the packs I got back from it, and then we'll get into some games and we'll discuss whether this card is worth getting. So before we talk about this David Luiz card, let's quickly first chat about how you acquire the item. You've got to complete 3 SBCs to get the Flashback David Luiz. The first SBC you have to complete is the Chelsea SBC. It costs around 90k, so despite this team on the screen right now looking pretty cheap, it actually will cost you just under 100k, so do be aware of that. The next team, the next SBC is the Premier League one. This one also costs around 100k, so yeah, it's another one that looks fairly cheap, but is actually pretty expensive due to demand right now. The final SBC to complete is the Brazilian SBC. This one's a little more expensive. It's going to cost you around 130k. Players like ter Stegen and Busquets obviously make up most of that cost. Overall, the David Luiz SBC ended up costing me just over 300k, so it's not the cheapest SBC to complete, but you do get about 100k worth of packs back. And now we're going to switch over to the live footage of me opening them packs, hoping to get some of my coins back. Okay, so I ended up spending around 300k to get that David Luiz card, so I could really do with getting something back from these packs. So without further ado, let's get into them. We've got a 45k pack up first. We do not get a walkout. Can we get a special card? We cannot. We don't even get boards. So yeah, that's not a great start. We get Akinfev, so not good. Hopefully packs 2 and 3 will be much better. I hope your guys' packs are much better than mine. If you've done the SBC already, let me know in that comment section down below what you got in the packs. Okay, number 2 is a mega pack. Will it be a walkout? It will. That is good to see. It's going to be, come on, be Portuguese. It's going to be German. It's going to be keeper. So it could be Neuer. It is Manuel Neuer. So we get ourselves 50k back. That is pretty awesome. Neuer also is my favourite goalkeeper in the game at the moment. So nice to have a first owner version. But I'll definitely be selling this one because I need to kind of recoup some coins from this SBC. Is there anything else in the pack? That would be cool if so. Oh, wow. Okay, I mean, I can't complain at that, can I? Let me just check what Cruz's price is. That's a pretty good pack. So we've got Cruz, who currently goes for 68k. Decent. 2 90 rated players in one pack. That's mad. I'm really freaking happy with that. It's probably the best pack I've got all year, to be honest. So, yeah, decent. Okay, rare mega pack. Probably won't get a walkout in this after the last pack, but can't complain, to be honest. Yep, as expected. What do we get? Will it be boards? It won't be. To be honest, I'm not going to complain. Especially with getting Torreira, because we got 2 90 rated players, both of which are going to get me about 120k back. So yeah, pretty happy with those packs. Anyway, enough of the SBC, enough of the packs. Let's now go focus on this brand new Flashback David Luiz card. So here it is in all of its glory. Here is the 89 rated Flashback David Luiz. It has 84 pace and 91 defending, and it has to be said, this card looks very freaking good. The card stats look great, and the in-game stats also look very freaking impressive. This guy does have 90 strength, which is really freaking good. He's also got 89 jumping, and when you combine that with the fact that he's 6'2", you would expect him to win plenty of aerial battles. He's got a very high interception stat of 94, good stand tackling of 92, and pretty good slide tackling of 91. And for a defender, it's fair to say his passing and dribbling attributes are very freaking good. You probably could play this guy as a CDM, but with him having 75 stamina, I personally wouldn't want him at CDM unless you plan to sub him off. Other than that, all I've got to say is his stats look very freaking good. The only one that I'm a bit worried about is his attacking positioning stat, because that means that he's going to be a bit more aggressive in going forward than most other centre-backs. Like the best centre-backs on the game, the ones that sit back and defend, have a pretty low attack positioning stats, so it'll be interesting to see what this guy's in-game positioning is like. But there's only one way to find out, and that is by trying him in some matches. So we've seen the stats, we've seen how you get this card. Let's get into some games and let's see how this card performs in matches. Okay, so for Flashback Luiz's debut, we come up against a pretty freaking good team that has a special card in every single position. So yeah, this game's going to be fun. I can already tell he is switching to a 4-2-3-1, and he's going to be crossing a lot to that Ibrahimovic and to that Jordan Lukaku. Hopefully David Luiz is going to be pretty solid aerially, because I think I'm going to need him to be in this match. As you can see, it's been an interesting start to the game. We're 4 minutes in and both teams have now scored. Right, win this David Luiz, there we go. I think that was against George Best, so it wasn't too difficult for him to win that aerial battle, but nonetheless, he won it, and now he's actually making a big run upfield. But unfortunately, I couldn't get the cross to him. And now he's way out of position. But look, he's quick enough to track back. As you can see, he's already marking one of the attackers. David Luiz, come on, be quick. You've got to track back, putting him off, and we've missed the ball, but good recovery tackle from Luiz. Showing some good pace there. Oh, well in Luiz. I made a big mistake by committing with Socrates there, but Luiz, luckily for me, was staying back. Win that, well in. Stretching out his leg to make sure George Best isn't getting past him. Right, now let's see what he's like from corners. Hopefully, oh look at that, Ibra versus David Luiz. Who's going to win that one? It's going to be David Luiz. Oh, David Luiz again. He's got George Best in his pocket. So at half-time, we are 3-1 up, and as you can see, like the first 6 minutes were a bit hectic. We were 1-0 down, then 1-0, then 2-1 up, and then just before half-time we made it 3-1. So yeah, very interesting first half. David Luiz has been pretty solid, it has to be said. So far, I have 0 complaints, and he's actually made quite a few tackles. So yeah, pretty good first half for him. When David Luiz making the interception, making sure Ibra wasn't clean through on goal. Let's try something. I don't know if it's going to work, but you know what, let's try it. I mean, it almost worked. It wasn't a bad shot. I actually didn't time it that well, but it still went on target. My opponent has a chance from the corner, but at the front post is David Luiz, and he heads that clear. So we end up winning that game 5-2. Pretty good game, to be honest. Pretty back and forth. David Luiz was actually very solid in this game, but as you can see, my whole team was pretty good in this game. So hopefully in the next match we get a bit more of a challenge. Okay, it's time to get into game number 2. We match up against another team full of special cards, and this team that we come up against actually also has a Flashback David Luiz. This guy's team is ridiculous. It is worth a hell of a lot more than mine, and yeah, I get the feeling this game's going to be pretty tough, so yeah, wish me luck. One thing that I like about David Luiz is, compared to other defenders, he is really quick to release the ball. Like, some defenders are quite slow when passing it, whereas David Luiz doesn't feel as slow as them. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's not as quick as midfielders when it comes to passing, but compared to other centre-backs, feels pretty quick. Okay, there's my punch. David Luiz putting in some work, pushing off Aubameyang off the ball. Good block, David Luiz. Oh, my opponent's David Luiz once again outstrengthened my Arnautovic. And at half-time we go in at the break with a 1-0 lead. Both my David Luiz and my opponent's David Luiz has been really solid defensively in both halves. Hazard's got him behind, he's a pretty quick player. Uh-oh, we're in trouble here. We're in trouble here. But luckily David Luiz and Socrates are positioned well at the back to deal with it. Oh wow, we actually won the game. So we were 3-1 down at one point, and we actually ended up winning the game 4-3. We scored in injury time, which yeah, I'm pretty happy about. My opponent was pretty freaking good, so very happy with that win, and also my opponent's team was really good. David Luiz in that match, pretty solid once again. I thought he was very good. He was also pretty damn good for my opponent as well. So yeah, pretty solid card. Anyway, I'm going to go play a few more games with this card. and then we'll get into the summary and we'll talk about whether this card is worth getting or not. But I have to say, after 2 games, I'm very impressed, so we'll see how I feel after a few more matches. So after playing a few more games with this card, what are my thoughts on it? It's a really good card, to be honest. I really do think this is a very good centre-back option for your ultimate teams. I actually came up against this card quite a few times when I was playing the extra games, and I have to say, when you match up against this guy, he's a really tough centre-back to beat, especially if you don't have elite players like Ronaldo up front. And unfortunately, I don't have Ronaldo, so yeah, I definitely struggle to beat this David Luiz card. Anyway, as you can imagine, in-game, this guy feels quick for a centre-back. You saw in the clips that this guy is much quicker than your average centre-back, and if he is caught out of position, he's quick enough to track back to help defend. Defensively, I really don't have any major complaints about this card. His tackling ability was brilliant, and he is very aggressive. With him being very aggressive, yeah, he can make some fouls now and then, but for me at least, he was always battling really well for the ball, and 9 times out of 10, he would produce a very good tackle. Like I said earlier, he's a very tough centre-back to beat, especially in one-on-one situations. Aerially, he was good for me. The guy is 6'2", which is a decent height for a centre-back, and since this guy has really good jumping and strength, as you can imagine, he will win, and he does win most aerial battles. His passing for a defender is brilliant, and that is a big positive for people like me who like to play out of the back instead of just booting the ball clear. This guy has the ability to do a nice lobbed pass up front to an attacking player instead of just hoofing it upfield and hoping for the best. For a defender, I thought David Luiz felt pretty composed on the ball, and he was quick to react to situations for me, which was very pleasing. His balance of 63 wasn't an issue. Some people think that 63 balance is a bad stat for a centre-back. Now don't get me wrong, it's not ideal, but it's not bad. For comparison, Van Dijk only has 49 balance. I had no issues with David Luiz's balance, if I'm honest. Positionally, I thought the guy was solid. He doesn't sit as deep as other centre-backs, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. He doesn't allow for space in behind too much. He's quick to get forward if you allow him to, but if you don't touch him, if you're not using that LBA pass, he'll just sit in his position and he'll wait to defend. Overall, I've got to say, I am pretty pleased with this David Luiz card, and I'm definitely going to be using him a lot in the remaining months of FIFA 19. So, we've got a couple of questions to ask. Do I think this card is the best Premier League centre-back? No. I think it's one of the best centre-back options, but it's not the best. I still think Van Dijk is the best Premier League centre-back in FIFA 19. His non-inform is incredible, and his Team of the Year card is just mad. This Flashback David Luiz card would make a great centre-back partner for Van Dijk. Do I think this card is better than the Flashback Eder Militao? I do, and the reason I prefer Luiz over Eder Militao is he's a bit stronger, and I also found his defensive positioning to be a bit better. Anyway, with all that in mind, do I think this Flashback David Luiz card is worth getting? If you can afford him, yeah, I do think this card is worth getting. 300k for the card like this isn't bad value at all, in my opinion, and you also get some decent packs back from doing the SBC. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts on the brand new Flashback David Luiz card. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please remember to leave a like on it. Comment below your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you've got any questions, put them down there too. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.